Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into a big topic. How in the world do you navigate a world that feels like it's constantly changing? We're going to talk about finding your own inner compass and actually using it to guide you. So let's get right into it. So, let me ask you something. Does it ever feel like the very ground beneath your feet is shifting? That feeling that the old rules just don't apply anymore, and everything that used to be so certain is now just up in the air? If you're nodding along, trust me, you are not alone. This feeling is really at the heart of what we're going to explore. To help us make sense of all this, I'd like to introduce you to the insights of an author named Naruto. Now, Naruto is a thinker who consistently shares some really unique perspectives on where we're headed, on soul growth, and what it means to live in this new era. He's published 10 books so far, so he's really developed a deep framework for understanding our rapidly changing world. Okay, so first up, let's try to get a handle on this great shift. It's definitely more than just a vague feeling of anxiety. There are some really powerful ideas that can help us understand what's actually going on out there. So, author Naruto brings up this idea called liquid modernity, which comes from the sociologist Zygmunt Bauman. Just think about it for a second. The things that used to be solid pillars in society, like having a job for life or staying in the same community forever, all of that is becoming, well, liquid. It's like we're all trying to stand on shifting sands, and it's no wonder it's so hard to keep our balance. And that leads to another huge idea, a paradigm shift. This is when the basic common sense of the world just gets completely flipped on its head. So we're not just seeing small changes here and there, it feels like the fundamental rules of the game are being totally rewritten right in front of us. All right, so if the outside world is all liquid and shifting, what on earth happens inside of us? Well, all that uncertainty triggers a really powerful and often pretty problematic defense mechanism. Let's talk about the ego's trap. When everything feels unstable, our ego's first instinct is to grab onto something, anything that feels solid. And you know what feels really solid? The feeling of being right. As Naruto points out, this is a totally natural way to try and reduce anxiety. But the trap is, it locks us into this rigid mindset, where the world becomes a simple battle of right versus wrong. And of course, we're on the right side. And here's where it gets really, really interesting. Naruto, referencing the psychologist Carl Jung, talks about how our anger at all the injustice in the world is often a projection of our own shadow self. Basically, it's all the stuff we don't want to see in ourselves. It's way easier to point the finger at everyone else than to deal with our own issues, right? This need to look outside ourselves for validation leads us straight to the next big problem, our attachments. The very things we use to anchor ourselves, to feel stable in this world, can end up becoming our biggest sources of pain. I mean, think about it. A job is a good thing, money, super useful. But Naruto says that the suffering starts when these things go from being nice to have to being, I must have this to know who I am. When your job title becomes your entire self-worth, or when the number of likes you get is your only proof that you exist, you've basically handed over your own stability to things that are, by their very nature, completely unstable. And all of this brings us to a really critical moment, a turning point. If the external world is liquid and our external attachments are unreliable, then we're all faced with a fundamental choice about how we want to live. So, which compass are you using? Really think about it. The external one is guided by all the stuff society tells us matters. Salary, job titles, followers. It's loud for sure, but it's also incredibly fickle. The internal compass, though, that's guided by your own sense of meaning, your personal values, your inner peace. It's a lot quieter, but it's stable, no matter what kind of storm is raging outside. Naruto uses this incredibly powerful quote from Viktor Frankl to drive this point home. External circumstances can take away almost everything we have, but the one thing, the last of the human freedoms that can never ever be taken away is our ability to choose how we respond. And that right there is the ultimate source of our power. Okay, so this is great, but how do we actually build and use this internal compass? Well, let's get practical. Naruto suggests 5 specific skills or powers that we need to cultivate for this new era. So here they are, the 5 powers for our time. First, you've got to resist being swallowed by anxiety, to feel it, but not let it run the show. Second, stop projecting your own shadow onto everyone else. Third, loosen your grip on those external attachments. Fourth, try not to rush to judgment so quickly.
And finally, number 5, embrace a quiet sense of self-responsibility for your own life and your own reactions.
Now, this is maybe the most crucial part of all, learning to tell two different voices apart. Naruto warns us that the ego's voice is always loud. It's demanding, it's rooted in fear and needing to be right. But the soul's voice, your inner compass, it's different. It's quiet, it's clear, and it speaks from a place of meaning. The whole challenge is to quiet down all that noise from the ego so you can actually hear it.
And this brings us to the final, really powerful idea from author Naruto. We are at a historic turning point. We can experience this huge shift as a chaotic, terrifying collapse, or we can choose to see it as something else entirely. A collective opportunity to grow up, to awaken, and to build our lives on a foundation that's actually stable, an internal one. That choice is ours.
So I'd like to conclude by posing one question to all of you. The next time you feel that wave of uncertainty or that anxiety, that pull to blame someone or just cling to being right, just pause for a second and ask yourself, which voice am I going to listen to right now? The loud, fearful one of my ego or the quiet, clear one of my soul?